Tuesday. Thankfully, Mom didn't have any big plans for us today, because after everything that happened yesterday, I really just wanted to lie low for the rest of the trip. Mom went to the camp store to pick up some groceries for dinner, and when she came back, she was all excited about a flyer she'd pick up at the main lodge. Tonight, pool party, food, games, music, guaranteed family fun. Nobody else was crazy about going to a pool party, but Mom said this could be just the thing to turn our trip around. We all knew that once Mom gets an idea in her head, there's no talking her out of it. Plus, it had been really sticky and hot all day, so I figured it would be nice to cool off for a few hours. Mom forgot to get plastic utensils at the store, so she sent me up there with some money. I was a little nervous one of those teenagers might spot me on the way, so I wanted to get there and back as quick as I could. But I stopped when regular Marcus headed out to me when I passed by the place we hid yesterday. Psst. Regular Marcus told me that this morning these posters started appearing all over camp, and he showed me one he took from the laundromat. Ice cream sundae party. Trade in your squirt gun for a free ice cream sundae. The second I saw the poster, I knew it was a trick. I told regular Marcus that the people who run this place were just trying to catch the kids who trashed the snack shack, and they were using ice cream as bait. I told him not to fall for it and to tell the other guys not to either. But he said it was already too late, because when the first posters went up, Juicebox and the other guys had headed straight for the lodge with their water guns. Regular Marcus said he would have been with them, but he had to go back to his camper to grab a squirt gun, and by the time he got to the lodge, the doors were already locked. Jiggle, jiggle. So regular Marcus climbed up on a recycling bin to look through the window and see what was going on, and what he saw wasn't pretty. It turns out there was no ice cream at all. The camp director told the guys they were going to have to scrub every inch of the snack shack tomorrow morning and use toothbrushes to do it. I guess Juicebox didn't like the sound of that, so he told the camp director the whole thing was a big misunderstanding. He said him and the other guys got roped into the fight, and the guy that started it all was still on the loose. And when the camp director asked him the name of the quote-unquote ringleader, Juicebox threw the new guy under the bus. Jimmy Dogfish. But I guess the camp director wasn't convinced, because after he let the other guys go, he made Juicebox walk door to door with him to find this Jimmy Dogfish character. I really didn't want to be there when they reached my camper, so when I got back to our campsite, I told everyone we needed to eat quick so we could get to that party. I figured the pool might be the one place on the campground where I was actually safe, but once we got there, I realized I was wrong about that. It seemed like the combination of loud music and nighttime was making people a little extra crazy, and it wasn't just the kids this time, it was the grown-ups too. A bunch of dads had turned the shallow end into a giant whirlpool. And somebody had to grease the slide, so people were coming off that thing at 100 miles an hour. Splosh, splish. So was a movie playing on the screen at the deep end of the pool, and whoever chose the film probably should have picked something that was a little more family-friendly. Scream! Mom wasn't even paying attention to what was going on in the pool. So there were a bunch of activities in the grassy area, and she wanted us to participate in everything. We entered the balloon puppy relay as a family, but we came in last place since Manny didn't have enough body weight to burst the first balloon. Bounce. Blap. Mom made Dad enter the beer belly contest, but he didn't even make it past the first round. Manny entered a hot dog eating contest on his own. I had no idea that boy could pack so much food away. Me and Roderick competed in a dizzy stick relay race, where you had to spin around a baseball bat 5 times, then tag the next person on your team. But we were playing against two guys who had just finished the hot dog eating contest, so things got a little messy. Blick. Mom tried to get me to enter a mother-son dance contest with her, but there wasn't enough money in the world to get me to agree to that. I entered the pie eating contest because I thought I might actually win, but they held it at the same time as the belly flop contest, and my seat was the one closest to the pool. Sploosh. Speaking of the belly flop contest, too many contestants got on the diving board at the same time, and it wasn't built to carry that much weight. Krieg. Scream! After the party activities wrapped up, Mom talked us all into getting in the water for a quick family swim. The pool was crowded and nobody was really doing any swimming anyway. It seemed like the only people having fun was the ones on rafts. But the rafts were all taken, and it didn't look like anybody was willing to give one up. So Mom spotted a giant empty inner tube in the middle of the pool. That thing was so big it must have been an airplane tire or something. So we all swam out to it before someone else took it for themselves. The tire was so huge it was almost impossible to get into, but with a little teamwork, we finally did it. Once we all got on, we found out why that thing was empty to begin with. After we got tossed from the giant inner tube, Mom was done with the pool party, and I felt bad because I knew how much she wanted tonight to be special. A lot of other people were starting to clear out too, but there was still a few stragglers coming into the party, and some of them looked familiar. The rest of my family got out of the pool, but I decided to stay put. I didn't know if those teenagers would recognize me or not, but I wasn't willing to take any chances. There was still a lot of people in the pool, so it wasn't that hard to stay hidden. But when those guys stepped in the water, it got harder for me to stay out of sight. And my situation got a whole lot worse when the next two people showed up at the party. I knew the camp director was looking for me, so I decided to go in the only direction I could, which was down. I went to the bottom of the pool and sat there, and I planned on staying down there as long as it took. I was actually starting to run out of oxygen when something weird happened. There was a flash of light, like someone took a picture underwater, and then everyone started getting out of the pool. 10 seconds later, it was empty except for me, and that's when I came to the surface. The first thing I noticed was the rain, which was really coming down. Then lightning flashed across the sky, and that explained why everyone was in such a hurry to get out of the pool. The teenagers and juice box were long gone, and so was my family. I really didn't want to get electrocuted, so I figured I'd better get out of there too. But I left the pool area and headed for the camper. But in the dark and the rain, it was hard to see where I was going. There was a huge crash of lightning, and it sounded it might have hit something nearby. Crack. Then the air raid siren on top of the launch cranked up, which made everything even more stressful. I realized that if I stayed outside much longer, I was gonna get burnt to a crisp. But nobody in any of the deluxe campers would let me inside. Pound, pound. I finally made it to our camper, and when I opened the door, my whole family was already there. Pant, pant. Mom said she thought I'd run ahead to the camper when the rain started, and it was a miracle I was okay. To be honest with you, I felt the same way. That storm came at the perfect moment, and I almost felt like it was the work of a higher power. Or maybe it was just one big cosmic joke. Because if there's one thing I learned tonight, it's that God has a sense of humor. Cheddar cheddar.